Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. And good morning to, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Grand Traverse. And I'm Pam Hendrick. I serve this congregation as a member of Sunday Services Committee. It's really wonderful to have you here on this sort of snowy morning here in the sanctuary. And a very, very warm welcome to those of you who are joining us remotely from your homes. The worship theme for this month is liberating love. And no matter your circumstances, backgrounds, or identities, you are welcome to bring your whole selves to this place of liberating love and acceptance. For those of you in the sanctuary now, please take a minute to silence your electronic devices if you haven't done that already. I know I always need that reminder, so. I'll let a few more people get seated, and then I want to ask if we have any visitors here today who would be comfortable introducing yourselves. If you would, please stand up, and someone will bring you a mic so you can introduce yourselves. Any visitors? Yes.
I visited for the first time last week, but joined a little late in the service, so didn't get a chance to introduce myself. But my name is Emily, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for welcoming me.
Thanks. Welcome, Emily. Any other visitors who'd like to introduce yourselves? And Emily, we hope you'll stay after for social hour, and if you take a yellow mug, we'll know that you are new to the congregation and we can get to know you a little better. And each week, we do take some time out of our service in community to share our joys and concerns with the congregation. And if you have something you would like to share with the congregation, you can write it in the book that's right over there, to your left, my right. But please write legibly, because Reverend Alex will be reading it later on in the service. And you can light a candle if you, at any time if you would like to do that to honor your joy or concern. Now, today's service is the second in what I, at least, hope will be an annual tradition. The jar of questions. Deep questions, shallow questions, secret, hard questions, soft questions, thorny questions, smooth questions. Secrets will be revealed, truths uncovered, and maybe a few fun facts. So it's your chance to ask the wise Reverend Alex Jensen your questions. We're eager for your wisdom. So write your questions for Reverend Alex on the insert that's in your order of service. And Reverend Alex will collect them after the offering. So if you don't have a pencil, we'll also be passing some pencils around too. Now, he won't be able to answer all the questions submitted because I can see those questions burning in your eyes right now. But he will answer several, and I know you will pose some challenging ones. And now, please enjoy our centering music.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. I'm Reverend Alex, the senior minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns. And welcome to this time for burning, sacred, and curious questions. As Unitarian Universalists, questioning is one of the central parts to who we are and how we search for truth and meaning. And so I've only really done this type of service once before, where you'll all have the chance to ask me questions, and then I have the chance to answer them on the fly. And I hope and have no doubt that you won't be holding back. So we'll have to see where this fun chaos goes. You may hear, about maybe 7 to 10 mini sermons, for 2 minutes or so, but it should be a fun experience. So as we settle into our time together, I invite you to hear these words from the poet Mary Oliver, a poem that may be familiar to some of you titled Mysteries, Yes. Truly, we live with mysteries too marvelous to be understood. How grass can be nourishing in the mouths of lambs. How rivers and stones are forever in allegiance with gravity, while we ourselves dream of rising. How two hands touch and the bonds will never be broken. How people come from delight or the scars of damage to the comfort of a poem. Let me keep my distance always from those who think that they have the answers. Let me keep my company always with those who say, "Look," and laugh in astonishment and bow their heads. So let us come together this morning to do the same, to say, "Look," to even laugh a bit, perhaps even find a reverence within our questioning. And so come, let us worship together this morning. We now pause in our service to light the flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, and a spark of curiosity and wonder at the center of each of our beings. I'll invite Dave to light our chalice now as I share these words from the Reverend Sarah Osborne. With the dawn of a new year, may we build upon a vision of grace and liberation, deepening our commitments to each other and to the widening community. Let us be vulnerable and courageous as collaborators in creating a more loving world. And may we remember to observe and celebrate the beauty and wonder that surrounds and sustains us. Blessed be. And now let us sound our singing bowl, calling us into this time set apart from our everyday lives. Enter a stillness now. And now, if you would, please rise in body or in spirit as we join in singing our opening hymn today, number 128, For All That Is Our Life, found in your gray hymnals. And Anne-Marie, our music director, as well as Barbara, will lead us in singing and playing.
And make our own day.
So now we are about to ask for our offering, but it's also time for you to write your questions down for Reverend Alex, because he will be circulating the question jar in just a minute. And I am truly so honored to be a part of this generous community. Our gifts of talent and resources make possible an abundance of good work in our area. So as we pass the baskets here in the sanctuary, and also ask for your support from those of you listening from home, know that you are helping to nourish many lives throughout the community. And be aware that our baskets have two sides, one to sustain our congregation and one for those in need in our community. And then you can also send your contributions to UUCGT by mailing a check to the congregation or visiting our website, uucgt.org, or you can use your phone by downloading the Vanco mobile app. And now, as the baskets are being passed, Reverend Alex will also take around the question jar. And if you need a pencil, Dave will give you a pencil.
Now is the time in our service where we have a time of sharing our joys and concerns, the milestones and moments of our lives that we know we just must share while we are gathered together. If you have a joy or a concern that's a bit too tender, or you want to just hold silently in our service, that's okay too. You're always welcome to light a candle at any time. You're also welcome to reach out to myself or to a member of our congregational care team. Joni, would you raise your hand? Joni's on the congregational care team, and so that's a friendly face that you can connect with. Thank you, Joni. And then you're also just simply invited to just feel the love as you are held in this community here with whatever is on your heart. Know that none of us is ever meant to travel life's journey alone. And so this is what has been offered up for us to hold as we are gathered this morning. From Carol and Alan Ritter, Carol and Alan report that their shared mother passed away on Christmas morning, a few weeks short of turning 101 years old. Jean was Alan's stepmom and Carol's much-loved mother-in-law. A powerhouse of strength and energy, Jean was as comfortable in New York as she was in the jungles of Papua New Guinea. She will be greatly missed. Please also hold Nancy Fraser on your hearts and send healing thoughts as Nancy fell and broke her pelvis and is recovering at home. So please send her some healing thoughts and some notes of encouragement. And we have a joy here for Jill for Bradley. Happy New Year. So excited my husband has 2 new knees so we can have fun in 2024. So congratulations to Bradley and to Jill. And now let us hold a moment of stillness for the concerns and joys that remain in the silence of our hearts. And now in this time of prayer and meditation, I want to give you the opportunity to sit with a question on your mind and heart, a question, wondering, or mystery that seems to be coming back to you again and again that you have yet to fully explore. So let's find a space for stillness and contemplation together, allowing ourselves to get comfortable, to sink into our chairs, close our eyes as we feel moved, to place our feet on the ground. And as we do each week, let us take some deep breaths together. Taking a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. In this time of stillness, allow yourself to bring forward to your mind a question that is on your mind and heart. Allow this question to rise up in you. Sit with it for a moment. As you sit with this question, don't try to force an answer. Just simply experience it without judgment. Observe in yourself any insights or emotions that are rising as you continue to spend some time with this question, this wondering. Some find it helpful to visualize a question or an issue as a symbol or as an object in their mind's eye. What is a symbol or object that is calling out to you? Maybe even just a word. Hold that object, that vision, that word or image on your mind's heart, on your mind and heart. And now, I offer you a new question. Where is this question taking you to truth and meaning in your life? How might you follow this question as we leave this time of contemplation together? Where will this lead you? Just spend some time thinking about that. How might you follow this question? In your own life and spiritual practice, you can always return to meditation in a practice like this with questions or experiences that you notice in your life. And so now I invite you to return now to our room, to our sanctuary, to open your eyes, to wiggle your toes, fingers, as you feel ready, and come back and join us now as we re-enter this space together. May it be so, and amen. Let us now join in singing our song of response, Spirit of Life. The lyrics are found as number 123 in your gray hymnals, and then our lyrics are up on the screen. Well, thank you all for spending some time writing down a question for me and submitting it. I have a nice stack here that we'll get to, and I want to assure you that all of the other questions or pieces that you submitted, I will still hold on to and reflect on, and maybe it might become some good sermon or service fodder in the future. So if we don't get to it today, know that your question is greatly valued. And without further ado, I have some questions here that have been selected, and so it's always an ongoing experiment. We'll see how this goes. I trust you, I think, and I think you'll be easy on me, so we'll find out. So our first question, this is a challenging one to start with. What do you say or write instead of thoughts and prayers, which seems so trite now? So what do you say or write instead of thoughts and prayers? This is a very relevant question. I think many of us have felt that experience sometimes, especially as we use social media or navigate other spaces and we see stuff happening. We notice somebody is facing something great. We see our world in a lot of pain, and we inevitably run into that comment that says, "Oh, thoughts and prayers." And I know for many of us, raise your hand if this applies to you, that kind of grates against you a little bit, right? And why is that? Why does it grate against us? Well, it feels kind of cliche. It feels, disgusting to some. It feels empty. So thoughts and prayers as something that is almost just kind of thrown as an excuse or leaving open to just like let that handle itself rather than having anything meaningful or anything attached to it. One thing that has stuck with me since being in divinity school, somebody, I forget where I picked this up, but there's a quote that somebody wrote about saying that in order for prayers to really be real, they actually have to move and change us. That if they don't actually affect action, then they're not really fully a prayer. So that's one understanding of prayer that I've come to kind of hold as an important thing to how I view it. Instead, I opt usually for something like I'm holding you on my heart. That's something that I think is kind of true to thoughts and prayers as well, but doesn't dig into that same cliche. So anyway, I appreciate this question, and this is, I think, a hard one for all of us. But, I hold you on my heart, and if I'm going to pray, I'm going to mean it, and it's going to move me to action. I think that's how I would approach that. So thank you for that question. Here is another question. Do you believe, or have you had the experience, that prayers and affirmations sent out to the universe can affect change or positive outcomes? So we have kind of a related question there, This is a good question. So do you believe, or have you had the experience that prayers or affirmations sent out to the universe can affect change or positive outcomes? So I personally, answering this question, I am a little bit unknown of this. I don't think I have a very concrete sense, like if I pray for something, that something divine or mystical is going to work down a shopping list of what I want for it to happen. So in that sense, I don't know if, prayer or, thoughts kind of work that way. But I do think, in a way, holding these affirmations within ourselves, again, in that same vein of changing and moving us, there's a way that does affect how we think about things, even stopping at just, holding a set of affirmations for ourselves or for our loved ones. That's a very Buddhist practice, doing a loving kindness, practice. And that's something that I've actually recently started leaning into and had the same, set of questions, like, is all this loving, positive energy really doing anything, or is it just really something that I'm sitting with? And I do have to believe that there is no harm done in wishing love to your neighbors and those around you. But I do also believe in a way that it does trickle out, maybe less of a mystical way and more of just a practical way, that if I'm, holding love for my neighbors and myself, that might, trickle out in some way to how I encounter and treat others. And that does really have shifts, I think, in the world around us for our neighbors. So that's, I think, how I would answer that. It's essentially, the loving kindness we can foster, the affirmations we foster, prayers we foster. If those change how we interact and love one another, I think they have far-reaching impacts. Our next question is, with all the troubling news, what should we feel optimistic about? This is very, very relevant. I think this is also at the heart of why we come to communities like this. Where is the hope in times that feel really, really dismal? When there's so much in our world that one might feel very sad or troubled about. I think the optimism is really kind of, again, found in where we notice and see hope. That's a hard thing. I can feel some of you saying, yeah, I hear that, but there's so much bad, and that's really hard for me to sit with. But I do think that that's an ongoing act of resistance in of itself, is when we can find hope and joy, even in really deep moments of fear, of feeling like there is no hope, that itself is a really radical and important act for us to do. And so I think part of it is really, that's why it's a practice, right? And that it may even take a little bit of faith on your part that there is still hope if it feels like all hope is lost. So I think in that sense, it's really important that we continue to hold hope. If we forego hope, then all of this doesn't really have any consequences and doesn't really matter. And I find that deeply problematic to think about. We as Unitarian Universalists are doers, and that's really, really important to us. And if we don't think that there's any shred of hope for what we might do today that could affect tomorrow, then what are you left with? So I think in that same sense, it's really important not to undermine or forget how important it is to find hope and joy and optimism, even when things feel really, really hard. But it is a hard practice that is not always easy. So I just want to hold that one that way, that it's actually a really radical act of resistance that you can do. in a world that feels troubled. So anyway, thank you for this question as well. When I ask, help me please, who am I asking? When I ask, help me please, who am I asking? That's a good question. I'm thinking about this as one of the, there's a book, I forget who writes this, it might be Anne Lamott, who says that there are 3 basic prayers: help, thanks, and wow. So when you say help, who are you asking? Well, I mean, this is something where I guess I'm not really in the mind of who is asking this, but there might be different ways that you can take this. If you do feel a sense of connection to other people or to, the universe at large, there's a sense of help that is almost a sense of surrendering, that, maybe I don't have all the answers and I need to kind of open myself up to something larger. And so in that sense, I think asking help is one way of asking that. This person may be asking, help also just of themselves. Maybe there's an ask of help to be better at asking for help that I think is relatable to many of us. So yeah, who hears that? When you say help me please. I think it's a good posture to encourage and work with in ourselves, is to be open, not just to offering help, but also asking for help ourselves and really being willing to sit with that, because that can often be a really hard thing to do. So if you ask for help, at the very least, you might think about it as, asking for help in a sense that connects you to something way larger than just yourself, and an important thing to continue doing, even if it feels really uncomfortable. Here is another question. Well, it looks like this is a 2-parter. How would you respond to, UU is not a real faith or spirituality, that it's a hodgepodge of concepts? Or, so this is an or question, what gives you joy, engagements, but not its own thing in your work? So that first question, UU is not a real faith or spirituality, that it's a hodgepodge of concepts. This is one of those things that people often, I think, have, and some of you may disagree with me or agree differently, but I think there's a misconception when we talk about UU, that it's kind of like this place where everybody believes their own thing and gets together, and it's just, people being nice of different traditions and backgrounds together. But we as Unitarian Universalists do have a tradition in of ourselves, and one that I think we're working more and more to really flesh out. And so, it is, in a sense, a faith. As I kind of hearkened to before about how finding hope sometimes in hopeless times, that there takes almost some element of faith, that you can't necessarily fully see that there is hope, and finding it might take an element of faith. I think UU in that same way is a real faith or spiritual sense. But it's also something beyond just us all getting in a room and being nice to each other on Sunday morning. It is an active way of thinking about, asking questions, of seeking your own understandings of spirituality, of faith, of engaging with the world, and not just simply taking answers, somebody feeding you the answers and saying, this is it. Being a Unitarian Universalist is so much more than that. And so I think that's my take on that first bit, that we are an authentic religion, faith, spirituality. And I think that that's really important, and it's different than just hodgepodge concepts lumped together. We are Unitarian Universalists for a reason. This other part, what gives you joy, engagement, but not its own thing in your work? Or maybe I'm misinterpreting this one. Oh, I see. What gives you joy and engagements in your work? I think for me, this kind of goes back to some of these same threads. You'll hear some parts repeated, I think, here. But what gives me a lot of great joy and engagement in my work, part of my call to ministry is around building and creating beloved community. That's a topic that you've heard me speak about before. You've heard us bring that up quite a bit. It's a term that actually we'll be digging into more next Sunday when we have our MLK Sunday service. Beloved community was very popularized by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. But for me, I take that as a real, part that brings me joy. I call them, it comes from my master's work, which you do not need to read. It's, a bunch of pages all about beloved community. But finding the joy or the glimpse moments at the beloved community to come that we're really trying to create together, that's something that's a big part of how I view my ministry and my role, is trying to find it, that it's not just this ethereal utopia far off in the distance. It's really something that we can see here and now, even in something as small as having a cup of coffee or tea with a friend, or finding opportunities to make music together, even just gathering together here in the sanctuary for a service. I think there are ways that we can really see beloved community too. Not just something that we're always working toward, but something that is also here too. So that's something that gives me a lot of joy and that I really engage with. In times or moments of uncertainty, what's the best first move? Would it be too on point to say, I'm uncertain? There's also a really lovely heart drawn on the back with a question mark here. I thought I'd point that out. Well, I think I can tell you what my approach would be, which may or may not be your approach. I think in a lot of times of uncertainty, my first instinct is to really slow down and kind of take stock and really say, what is here that I'm not necessarily seeing? What is all the information I can gather before jumping into something? Sometimes you don't have the luxury of that, though. This is the real world, and sometimes things just need to happen. And so I think part of the challenge of that is sometimes you need to move within uncertainty, and there isn't necessarily time to just get all your information straight. You need to act. And so I think in that case, the other piece that really guides me, at least in how I think about uncertainty, is what I'm doing coming from a place of love is a good question that I sit with. Is it something that comes with my heart, that I know confidently that this is something rooted in my heart, that I feel confident enough in that? Even if that feels uncertain overall, you can kind of feel a sense of confidence, a sense of centeredness, if you know that you're at least coming at it from love. And sometimes I think part of the uncertainty is your openness and willingness to say, hey, I didn't get that my first time around very well. And now I see more information and I'm open to it, or I see different circumstances, and let me calibrate that a little. But I think generally when you're coming at it with good intentions and doing your best, if you can slow down and kind of observe and take in more, and if not, if you need to act, going at it from a place of love, I think, should lead you in a good direction. So, that's what I do as a minister. I think it works, but, we're finding out. Is your cat Zen Buddhist? Well, Lydia has not, my beloved cat Lydia, who you've heard me talk about from time to time, she has not expressed to me in a sentient way her spirituality or faith background, but I do observe a lot of, closed eye, what seems like meditation and contemplation. So, I also have a nice Siddhartha Gautama statue as well of the Buddha meditating, and she sometimes on my desk sits right next to that. So maybe there is a kinship there that I haven't discovered until now. So I will go ask Lydia when I get home, and I'll let you know what she says. Usually she's pretty quiet. What would you like to see change in the community? This is a good question. What would you like to see change? So I'm going to take this in two directions. What do I want to see change within UUCGT? And then what might we see change with our wider Traverse City community? I think the path that we're on as a congregation is always thinking about what is ahead of us for our future. We've been through many different transitions in leadership. It's been, we're almost going to be having our 60th anniversary of being a congregation coming up in May, I believe. Which is really, really exciting. So we've been around a while here. And that question of, how are we still moving and relevant to not just ourselves and meeting people's needs, but to the wider community, I think that's a really important thing to be paying attention to. And so, one of the ways that I would really love, I think UUCGT is waiting to almost, the first thing about it is I feel like we're like the best kept secret about town. That, all of us know about this place because we were lucky that somebody either told us or maybe we stumbled upon it and we're like, wow, this is a really neat community. And as Unitarian Universalists, we're a little bit shy about talking about our faith, talking about, oh yeah, I go to the UU, I go to the congregation, this is what that's about. We don't want to be seen as trying to push our beliefs on others or trying to proselytize. But I think like this place is something really special that I really wish people would talk more about. If people really kind of knew about this place existing, that is like one of the first comments I hear so many newcomers say to me is just, well, gosh, I've been here for how many years and I never even knew about this place. And it's not even just, knowing about this location. It's also knowing that, religion, spirituality, and faith do not all look like one thing. And this is one of these types of places where you can come and really explore, again, with questions. You can kind of bring what backdrop you've had with faith and spirituality. You can explore whether that's true. You can find new understandings yourself. That's a really rare kind of place. I mean, many of you have had your own run-ins with different types of traditions where here's the answer, and people don't know that there's even something like this. It's like the best kept secret. So that's one thing that I would really like to see change for us. Is that we're just more comfortable talking about, this place and why we do what we do, that it's rooted in a sense of our values, that our principles really are important to us. What I'd love to see change in the community is also our sense of presence within that. I think UUCGT is, again, kind of waiting to burst out, and we've had a long track record of doing this and really kind of being the people that show up and affect change. And I think we're kind of wondering how to be most relevant to that right now. And I think that that's something that is really, really needed too, is that our values cannot just come and be practiced within these walls. They need to go out, and we need to live our tradition. And so I think that's one of the elements that I would like to see change as well, is that we can show up and we can maybe more readily engage the challenges that exist out there in our community, where we can care more for our unhoused neighbors, our neighbors who are hungry, those who are facing, the elements, those that are still looking for a place of acceptance, who are in families where, in one way or another, they don't have a place or a community to call their own. And this is a place where you can bring your full self, and that's a really, really rare thing. So I think that's one thing that I would like to see change as well, is building on that. I want to see us rise to the occasion and really engage with these challenges within our own community, because we're absolutely up to the task, and I think we all deeply care about that. So that's how I would answer that. Is voting a UU value, and why? Good question. Well, I do think one of our principles is the democratic process and using that as we make decisions. And I think that also is something that's central to Unitarian Universalists at the national level as well. There are a lot of initiatives that our congregation, as well as other Unitarian Universalists, are digging into, especially around the election coming up later this year, to really, encourage people to vote their values in general. But I do think voting itself is rooted in a Unitarian Universalist sense of understanding. The idea that you are a person with inherent worth and dignity and a right to express your thoughts in your vote, and that you wish that others can do the same. That's something that is very, very Unitarian Universalist, I would say. And so I won't tell you what voting Unitarian Universalist looks like, because I cannot do that. And also, that's an impossible way. Many of us, if we even revealed how we vote, we may not have as many friends as we walked in with if we did that. But I do think voting itself is a value rooted in our value of democracy, rooted in our belief that people have inherent worth and dignity and have a right to conscience and a voice. I think that's where that primarily stems from. So voting is a UU value in that sense, and you all really need to get registered to vote if you're not, and please do vote this coming election season. It is really, really important that you do so. And then here we go. We've got a final question here. What is your fondest dream for our congregation this year? What is your fondest dream for our congregation this year? I am really, really excited with the direction that I hope we're headed, not only with the visioning exercises that we're doing. You've probably all seen stuff about the VMC task force, the vision work. That's one area that is really exciting to me to see, is that we're encouraging people to submit their dreamings of what UUCGT might be like in 5 years, looking at it in the present tense. More than that, I'm really, really excited at the ways that, Word isn't completely out yet on this, but I think I can let you in on this little half secret right now that we are very hopeful to welcome a new director of religious education soon. And so I'm really, really excited with the potential for revitalizing and revamping our religious education programming as well, and the ways that we can, continue to nurture families as they come in, but also spirituality and growth for all ages in our congregation. And so I think my hope for our year together this year is to really dream and envision as broadly as we can. It's been so special as these visions are pouring in to kind of see the different things that people are saying and imagining 5 years from now. There was one that I was really struck by that said, we're going to have multiple campuses. Like, this is going to be the event center, but we're going to have like this really big, downtown sanctuary, and it's going to be awesome. And, somebody told me too that though I would be good with a career in politics, I have to stick it out here that I'm not allowed to leave. So I've been really, really enjoying your dreams and visions for our future. And I really, really have dreams for how our RE program itself can really be revitalized and really meet people. And that's something that I'm really, really excited about for this year. So, well, I think I've done, I've hopefully done a fair job. I hope you got something from that. And thank you so much for your time of submitting these. And it's been a pleasure to wonder with you. So now I'll invite us for a brief moment of stillness as you maybe sit with an answer or a question or all of the above that came from our time there. So just simply find a stillness in this moment. And now I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. The lyrics will be available up here. Anne-Marie will lead us in singing.
For those of you following along in the hymnal, we will be singing verses 1 and 4 only.
we prepare to leave today, we liberate the light and warmth of this chalice into the world, sharing the questions in our hearts and the love that abides between us and others, listening for still small voices of chickadee-dee-dees, snowflakes, and sunsets that will guide us seeking into a brave new year of discoveries.
I just have a brief set of announcements. I promise they'll be quick so we can get on to enjoying some coffee and fun treats in our social hall. So you've already heard me talk a little bit about this in one of the questions, but we are seeking your visions. And so each of you is probably, if you're on our flash email list, you might have seen something about from the VMC, Vision, Mission, Covenant Task Force. So we're at the stage of inviting you to dream about our future, to take some time, 30 to 45 minutes or so, either in a group with your other committee members, your other team members, or on your own. There's a lovely video that Emily Mitchell and I got to do together where you can actually click to that in your own time and even go through the process itself. And so we're really just seeking you to dream, and we really want to hear from you. And so if you want to spend some time doing this, please type up your visions. That will make the work go a lot quicker. And please send them to the VMC Task Force email, which is vmctaskforce@gmail.com. All of this information is also in that blast that went out, and you'll still be seeing some noise about that. So please dream with us and envision our future. We're going to be having a Soul Matters Going Deeper retreat on Saturday, January 27th. That'll be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. here in the sanctuary. We are the wiser, knowing that there is some snow in our midst, that we need to have a snow date. So we have a February 3rd snow date for that, if for whatever reason we can't make it out here. You're invited to bring a lunch and come and learn about the Soul Matters programs. And this is open to anybody, whether they're interested in learning about small groups, about creativity matters, what's that thing that I've heard about? What about the men's group? It's a great opportunity to just learn more and gather together for folks of all levels and commitments. And lastly, our Sunday Service Committee is looking for more readers and speakers for our services. Contact Pam Hendrick if you would raise your hand. Pam is who you can contact if you're interested in being a reader for an upcoming service. It's always fun when we welcome other voices to participate in our services. And so this is one other way that we're really just hoping to increase the participation. We can even offer you a little bit of training if you'd like on how to read and enunciate and all those good things, how to present well. So feel free to reach out to Pam if that draws your interest, and we just really encourage it. And that's all I have for you. So I'll invite you to rise as you're willing and able for our benediction. Again, we have a gesture here at UUCGT. If you'd like to, you're welcome to join hands with your neighbor, or if you're not quite up to that, we have the gesture of please do not touch me, which is outstretching your hands. Maybe it's too far of a reach. Yeah, maybe it's too far of a reach for some of you, and so if you'd like to do this instead of, contorting yourself in some weird position, that's fine too. And so I invite you to outstretch your arms with a neighbor or outstretch your hands. In the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of our deepest questions, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass a little squeeze if that feels comfortable. I'll give you an air five for all of your blank hands out there. Good to be with you this Sunday. Please enjoy a wonderful rest of your day.